Lots of people have talked about how good the LA Rams are this offseason, but no one is talking about them as a real Super Bowl threat. I think that's foolish. The 30-1 odds by Las Vegas for McVay and this Rams team to win another Super Bowl is absurd. There is no team more slept on than the Rams in the entire NFL, which is strange considering they were just world champions 3 years ago. I guess if you haven't been paying attention and you just see that Super Bowl team who lost Ramsey, Von Miller, and Aaron Donald, then that makes sense. But last year, this team was the second youngest in the entire NFL, with an average age of 25.3 years old. And they still went 10-7. Maybe we shouldn't doubt Sean McVay, one of the greatest minds in football, and Mathew Stafford, his perfect partner in crime, both a coach and a wizard on the field. Maybe Les Snead, the general manager who built two separate Super Bowl rosters, one with Goff in 2018 and one with Stafford in 2021, maybe he knows what he's doing and can build a Super Bowl roster again. If you just look at what they accomplished in 2023, it was pretty remarkable having the second youngest team and starting 3-6 before going on a 7-1 run to end the regular season, and then barely falling short in a dogfight with the stacked Lions roster in the playoffs. If you're wondering how the team turned it around so much, I would say getting Kupp, their superstar, back on the field is one thing, but mostly just giving time for McVay and his staff to coach up this incredibly young roster, which Les Snead, an arguably genius general manager, drafted for them. But what does that kind of season do for a bunch of young men in their early 20s? Well, for one, all that playing time helps accelerate their growth more than if they had just been stuck on the bench. And more importantly, it teaches them how to overcome adversity. These guys are battle tested, and they have shown they won't fold and quit. The 2023 Rams season produced 4 true star rookies, with most notably being Puka Nacua. But they also had Steve Avila, the 6'3", 330-pound behemoth at guard, pass-rushing phenom Kobe Turner on the inside of the defensive line, and extreme athlete, Energizer Bunny, edge rusher Byron Young. These guys helped propel those old heads like Stafford, Kupp, and Donald back into the playoffs, but arguably even more important to the Rams' success than the young stars was Sean McVay's incredible willingness to evolve. We all remember that 2018 Rams offense powered by wide zone with Todd Gurley that was one of the greatest offenses the NFL had ever seen, until it wasn't. McVay wouldn't be able to generate that insane offensive success again with Goff in 2019. Not until Stafford arrived in 2020 and allowed McVay to evolve his offense using much more shotgun and empty sets than with Goff. With McVay's genius and Les Snead's great roster building, this was enough to win a Super Bowl. But that wide zone scheme of 2018 never bounced back to form because Fangio and Belichick really showed the league how to shut it down. McVay needed another edge and another evolution, which brings us to the great success of the league's second youngest roster in 2023. The Rams went from being the best wide zone team in their first Super Bowl to running 42% duo in 23. That led the league by nearly 10%. That was a huge shift from the Shanahan system that McVay developed in. He took this rebuilt O-line and changed the offense again that took him twice to the Super Bowl, not just shifting from wide zone to duo, but also running the 4th most pistol in the NFL. In Stafford's first year, he would alternate between shotgun, which allowed for a limited run game, and under center, which limited the passing concepts at times. McVay felt like pistol gave his offense some of the benefits of both and relied on it heavily the second half of the season. Really, one of the only staples of the earlier Rams teams that stuck around was his heavy reliance on 11 personnel. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were physical enough that McVay would run a lot of tight splits and use a lot of motion to get them involved in the blocking, and it allowed them to run 12 personnel plays while keeping 3 receivers on the field. Puka fit this role perfectly, as he became one of the best run-blocking receivers day one he stepped into the NFL. Just one example of how last year's rookie class, paired with great coaching, took this group from 3-6 to 7-1, becoming a feared team by the end of the year. And I believe this next rookie class will do the same thing. Continuing with the youth movement in LA, Les Snead drafted 10 players in the 2024 draft, which was third most in the league, after leading the 2023 draft with 14 players selected. And at least 4 of the rookies this year, I'm pretty convinced based off tape and team need, will have a major role for the team. Instead of going through the rookie class, I'd rather just very quickly go position by position and help you see this crazy talent that is on this roster. But first, if you've enjoyed the video so far, please give it a like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me and it helps my small channel a ton. Okay, so starting with Mathew Stafford, who everyone knows is a superstar, but still somehow he feels underrated to me. When you are the second oldest quarterback in the league, then no one is able to throw a blitz or coverage your way that you haven't seen before and already have an answer for. For example, a doctor gets his PhD in 8 years. Well, Stafford has been a starting quarterback in the NFL going on 15 years. That's as much schooling in NFL schematics as a doctor and lawyer gets combined. You cannot get in this guy's head no matter how hard you try. But just as impressive as Stafford's mind, or maybe even more so, is his arm talent. The dude has a rocket for an arm still at 36 to accurately hit his receivers deep downfield. He can throw at any arm angle to accurately complete a pass with defenders right in his face. He can still throw darts into tight windows against great coverage. And just to keep the defense guessing, he can throw a no-look pass, which is a zone destroyer because those defenders are moving with Stafford's eyes, and the eyes are lying. I'd argue Stafford is the second best pure passer in the NFL behind Mahomes, or at least easily top 5. And a huge help to Stafford is one of the league's best pass-catching groups, led by Puka Nacua, who just broke every rookie receiving record out there, and Cooper Kupp, who led the entire NFL in receptions, yards, and touchdowns only a few years ago. Puka was already so good at just 22 years old last season, but still has room for improvement, I believe, specifically in his route running. Little nuances can be added, and with Kupp, one of the league's best route runners next to him, I expect Nacua will improve in this area. Puka and Stafford can also continue to build trust with one another on option routes and back shoulder balls where they have to be on the same page to be efficient. Cooper Kupp should also have a huge impact this season since he has had a full offseason to recover and strengthen his hamstring after he strained it in training camp last year. Hamstring injuries usually linger for a while, so I think Kupp should look much better than last year when he was just, very good, but not a game breaker. Rams also have Demarcus Robinson to be their third wide receiver, and he had his best year of his career in LA last season. He's really slowly but steadily improved year after year since entering the league in 2016, and he should be a good third receiver for this team. They also have the 165-pound shifty Tutu Atwell that brings a unique skill set to this team. McVay will definitely have a few plays drawn up to get the most out of Tutu's talents. Tyler Higbee is also a really good receiving weapon for Stafford at the tight end position. He has averaged 586 yards a season over the past 5 years, which is a good contribution for the position. And finally, to round out the pass catchers, the Rams added Colby Parkinson, the 6'7", 250-pound receiver out of Stanford, who is heading into his 5th year in the NFL, playing a kind of mix between big slot and tight end, which I think could allow McVay to use more 2 tight end sets when he sees a mismatch he wants to take advantage of, or at the very least, adds depth behind the 31-year-old Higbee. The running back room will add some to the receiving game, but they really thrive in McVay's new duo-heavy scheme. The Rams have Kyron Williams as their starting running back, and Kyron Williams Jr. as their backup, but he chooses to go by the name Blake Corum, the first rookie who should have a major role for this team. Both guys are undersized, but that low center of gravity gives them great contact balance. They bounce off tackles like little pinballs, and they have the acceleration to quickly pick up 5, 10, or 20 yards when there is green grass in front of them. They are also very shifty, not in a Shady McCoy or Barry Sanders break your ankles kind of way, but they do such a great job of maintaining their speed when cutting from one running lane to another and always getting the most out of the blocks in front of them. Their best trait, however, is their incredible vision, which is an underrated trait often in the draft. This is why neither guy was drafted highly, but behind a powerful O-line, Kyron Williams was third in the league in rushing yards, even when missing a couple of games banged up. And Blake Corum led all of college football with a crazy 27 rushing touchdowns, despite looking nothing like a typical goal line back at only 5'8", 205 pounds. This Rams rushing offense should get even better this year behind an improved O-line as well that stole one of the best guards in the league from the Lions, Jonah Jackson, and moved Steve Avila to center, which he played in college, now making him the heaviest center in the NFL. To help with this transition, the Rams have a great young O-line coach who just so happened to be Tom Brady's center for 8 years. He should be the perfect guy to help Avila with this transition, and after playing in a duo scheme himself in New England for so long, I think he is well equipped to help in McVay's new running scheme. That interior trio of Jonah Jackson, Steve Avila, and Kevin Dotson just shows General Manager Les Snead and McVay are doubling down on this new evolution of the offense. They now have the heaviest interior offensive line in the league, ready to dominate guys in the run and give Stafford a much needed pocket to climb up into. Because the one weakness of this team is probably the left tackle Alaric Jackson. Stafford needs a stone wall to give him room to step up if Jackson is going to continue to get frequently whipped like last year around the edge. But I will say he is heading into year 4, which according to all of PFF's data is when offensive linemen are most likely to make a significant improvement in their play. If Jackson doesn't step up, they do still have Joseph Noteboom, who is a fine swing tackle and can hold his own if shit hits the fan. And on the right side, they were pretty set with quality veteran Rob Havenstein. So overall, this is an above average O-line unit, perfectly designed to fit Stafford and McVay's needs. The offense as a whole is just so well crafted to get the most out of stars like Stafford, Kupp, Puka, and Kyron Williams. I expect they will be top 5 in nearly every offensive metric this year and could even lead the league in scoring. Now their defense, I cannot say the same for, but they are an improved group, I believe, even after losing the game's best defensive lineman of all time. And it's again thanks to this youth movement. After starting 8 defenders last year that were in their first, second, or third years of their career, they went ahead and added 3 more rookies to the group that should play key roles, starting on the quickly rebuilt defensive line. Jared Verse was the only first-round pick selected by the Rams since 2016, so they clearly believe in this guy, or they would have traded the pick like they had done 7 years in a row. I believe in him too, because he is just a technician with great power as his biggest attribute. He uses his hands so effectively to shed blocks on the way to the quarterback, or he drives tackles back into the pocket, shortening the edge and giving himself a quicker path to the QB. Brett Coleman has a great video highlighting just how talented Verse is. I had him tied for my 9th ranked prospect, so in my eyes, getting him at 19 was a steal. And he should be the best edge rusher day 1 for the Rams since Von Miller left. Not only is he day 1 ready, but he also has huge upside since he is an elite athlete. He ranked as a 95th percentile athlete for edge rushers, going all the way back to 1987 according to Relative Athletic Score. Across from him though is Byron Young, who had a strong rookie year himself last season with 8 sacks and 50 pressures. Young is a high effort, clean up sack kind of player that uses his insane athleticism and great power to make plays as a pass rusher. He ran an unreal 4.43 40, jumping 38 inches in the vert and 11 feet in the broad jump last year. His story is pretty unreal as well, as he had 0 scholarships out of high school, worked at a grocery store for a year before walking on to a small program and grinding his way up to Tennessee Vols football, then eventually the NFL. His story and all the Rams organization has to say about him should give confidence that this guy is not going to just accept where he is, but he will work his ass off to improve year over year. I believe this will be the best duo of edge rushers McVay has had yet. And then add in the middle Kobe Turner, who could have easily won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year thanks to his 11 sacks. He graded out as a top 10 pass rusher, according to PFF, and 13th in run defending for the defensive tackle position. Really one of the best young players in the entire NFL, and will in no way replace Aaron Donald, but he can help keep this D-line dangerous for sure. The Rams also paid a massive price, trading away pick 52, 155, and a 2025 second-round pick to move up for defensive tackle Braden Fisk at pick 39, who they are reported to have a first-round grade on. They really loved this guy, thanks to his performance at the Combine, which was 6th best out of all defensive tackles going back to 1987, according to RAS. The Rams clearly have a type, which is absolutely stupid level athlete. Well, Fisk is one of the best athletes we've ever seen for the position, and he plays that way when in pursuit of the quarterback. He also plays like a bull in a china shop, just destroying anything in his path. He definitely needs a lot of work in his hand techniques, but Kobe Turner plus D-line coach Giff Smith, who started coaching D-line back in 2010, should help him really take a big step in that aspect of the game by the time playoffs roll around. So yes, they did lose Donald, but I think this group could be a better unit by the end of the year because all 4 guys are so young and extremely talented. So they are surely to improve week by week till they are scaring offenses with their pass rush. They also have 3rd-year D-tackle Bobby Brown and 4th-year edge rusher Michael Howitt, who bolster the run defense and add depth to the D-line group. Just a really good position group that's being slept on because of the loss of Donald. Now they need to be a strong run defending group because they will have 0 help from what might be the worst linebacking group in the NFL. Rams just traded Ernest Jones, a good young linebacker, for a 6th-round pick. So there must be something behind the scenes that made the Rams want to get him out of their building. And unfortunately, that only leaves the Rams with Christian Rosebaum and Troy Reeder inside in their 3-4 defense. However, the Rams do primarily run a 5-1 or a 3-3-5 jumbo with basically 5 D linemen carrying most of the workload and 1 linebacker just flowing to the football. So they should be able to get by, but it's definitely a weak point of this defense. And finally, the Rams have completely remodeled this secondary room after a rough year last year. They did a great job to upgrade the back 5 without investing any top draft picks into them. Rams brought in 2 new outside corners, one of which was Darius Williams, who is returning to the Rams after a couple good years in Jacksonville. He was a key piece to the Super Bowl squad in 21, and the Rams believe he can be a key piece again. They also added Trey White, who has battled injuries over the past 2 years and might not return to 100%, but when he was healthy, he was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He is just a brilliant player who understands route combinations and what to expect from what formation as much as anyone out there. So if healthy, then the former All-Pro could completely change this secondary for the Rams. But if injured, then he still offers great leadership and on-the-field coaching for the younger corners like 3rd-year players Kobe Durant and Quentin Lake, who have probably been the most talked about players in training camp from beat reporters and coaches alike. Tons of positive buzz around these guys right now, so even if Trey White isn't healthy, the Rams might have a solid trio of corners on the back end to pair with 25-year-old Cam Curl, who is looking like one of the best young safeties in the game, both in coverage and through physicality in the run game. as well as John Johnson, who has been a Ram since coming into the league in 2017, or rookie Cam Kinchens, who by the end of the year I expect will either be a starter in base or at least come in for their dime package. Tons of overhaul and youth on this defense, and it's probably the youngest defense in the NFL. But there's tons of reason for optimism. I believe it's an improved secondary, and the pass rush will likely start slow, but could catch fire by playoffs. Oh, and the greatest defensive lineman of all time has been spotted multiple times around the Rams facilities since retiring. And lots of people suspect McVay might suck Donald back in for a Super Bowl run if they make the playoffs. Just like he did with Eric Weddle in 2021, who had retired for 2 years before returning in the wild card playoff game en road to becoming a world champion. If Donald came back with that rebuilt D-line in the playoffs, then they could be one of the best pass rush units in the NFL. It'll be an improved youthful defense along with one of the best offenses in the league. I just personally cannot agree with the 30-1 odds for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, but I can take advantage of it. I will not doubt Sean McVay and Mathew Stafford. They are too lethal of a duo. They have already proved they can win a Super Bowl, unlike Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, or even Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. A lot of these other teams receiving love this offseason have never proven they can handle the pressure in the championship games. But McVay and Stafford have, and I trust them in those big moments. I also trust Les Snead's youthful revival of this roster. Rams fans are about to have a fun season because their team is the most underrated in the league. And to all my degenerate gambling friends looking to put money down on a long shot, you should put it down on the most dangerous underdog team in the NFL. I know I will be, the Los Angeles Rams. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel grow. And also leave a comment on what you'd like me to do next. I'm always looking for new video ideas, and I'd love to hear from you. But make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Well, that's all for now, but I hope to see you again soon.